Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixie Land. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we are in Bible study. We are in the NIV, and we are in the very last chapter of the book of Judges, chapter 21. And it is actually one of my least favorite chapters because they make a decision that is just terrible. I have to say, just terrible. So, wives for the Benjaminites. Because the Benjaminites had the terrible practices of roving bands of rapists, so all of Israel went up against them and put them to the swords. Only these are the only ones that were all the way up in the mountains hiding and not fighting. The men of Israel had taken an oath at Mitzvah. Not one of us will give his daughter in marriage to a Benjaminite. The people went to Bethel, that is, to the house of God, where they sat before God until evening, raising their voices and weeping bitterly. "O Lord, the God of Israel," they cried, "why has this happened to Israel? Why should one tribe be missing from Israel today?" Early the next day, the people built an altar and presented burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, traditionally called peace offerings. Then the Israelites asked, "Who from all the tribes of Israel has failed to assemble before the Lord?" For they had taken a solemn oath to anyone who failed to assemble before the Lord at Mitzvah should certainly be put to death. Now the Israelites grieved for their brothers, the Benjaminites. "Today one tribe is cut off from Israel," they said. "How can we provide wives for those who are left, since we have taken an oath by the Lord not to give any of them our daughters in marriage?" Then they asked, "Which one of the tribes of Israel failed to assemble before the Lord at Mitzvah?" They discovered that no one from Jabesh Gilead had come to camp for the assembly. For when they counted the people, they found that none of the people of Jabesh Gilead were there. So the assembly sent 12,000 fighting men with instructions to go to Jabesh Gilead and put to the swords those living there, including the women and children. "This is what you are to do. Kill every male and every woman who is not a virgin." They found among the people living at Jabesh 400 young women who had never slept with a man, and they took them to the camp at Shiloh in Canaan. Then the whole assembly sent an offer of peace to the Benjaminites at the rock of Rimmon. So the Benjaminites returned at that time and were given the women of Jabesh Gilead who had been spared. But there were not enough for all of them. So suddenly you have arranged marriages. The people grieved for Benjamin because the Lord had made a gap in the tribes of Israel. And the elders of the assembly said, "With the women of Benjamin destroyed, how shall we provide wives for the men who are left? The Benjaminite survivors must have heirs," they said, "so that a tribe of Israel will not be wiped out. We can't give them our daughters as wives, since we Israelites have taken an oath. Cursed be anyone who gives a wife to a Benjaminite. But look, there is an annual festival of the Lord in Shiloh, to the north of Bethel, and on the east of the road that goes from Bethel to Shechem, and to the south of Lebonia." It's like Lebanon, Lebonah. So they instructed the Benjaminites, saying, "Go and hide in the vineyards and watch. When the girls of Shiloh come out and join in dancing, then rush from the vineyards, and each of you seize a wife from the girls of Shiloh and go to the land of Benjamin." So it's like, what? Why is that an answer? Did you consult God before? Oh no, that's right, they didn't, did they? They didn't consult God. When their fathers or brothers complain to us, we will say to them, do us a kindness by helping them, because we did not get wives for them during the war, and you are innocent since you did not give your daughters to them. So that is what the Benjaminites did. While the girls were dancing, each man caught one and carried her off to be his wife. Then they returned to their inheritance and rebuilt the towns and settled in them. At that time, the Israelites left the place and went home to their tribes and clans, each to his own inheritance. In those days, Israel had no king. Everyone did as he saw fit. Now, you'll notice in the Judges, that line is repeated a lot at the end. Everyone did as they saw fit, which means God did not sanction these actions. If they did not ask God what to do, God did not sanction those actions. That's what the repeating message is. Also, cliff notes, in case you're unaware. Eventually, what becomes of the law that starts in the Old Testament gets so constricted. It is that same law that they used to convict Jesus of death. And that's what they used to kill him. That is where it goes. So if it sounds sometimes like it's like, but that says, and it sounds not so good for Jesus, that's true. But also understand, I'm a Christian, so, this is the story of how the Bible goes. That's part of the lesson. This stuff, not everything that's in here, was stuff that was sanctioned by God. So just keep in mind, you got to be able to read through it and look for it. You're not looking for the loopholes that allows you to treat someone else poorly. You're looking for what not to do. Until the next video, friends.